How we doing? It's Mailman Nick. Follow me on Instagram at Mailman Nick. If you enjoy this content, please give us thumbs up. Don't treat us like 204Bs over here. And obviously, these are our own thoughts and opinions, and we do not speak on behalf of the Postal Service. So I got Mike with me. I appreciate you coming on. Happy Halloween. No tricks over here.
Only treats.
Yeah, only treats. And good contracts. So first thing I want to ask you is, how's the campaign going? Are you, hitting all your marks? Are you, hitting all your goals so far? How's it going?
Yeah, I mean, great question, man. We could definitely use some more help out here, but I would say it's going pretty good. I mean, our goal is not, we never wanted to win the election in 2025, if you know what I mean.
Right.
It's going to be in 2026, so you got to kind of build it slowly. And our goal is to build up our network all around the country because there's thousands of post offices, there's 1,500 branches, there's carriers all over the place, and just getting to them, and then once we engage with them, we want them to help out the campaign. So like we just came out with these case magnets. It's time to get a president who delivers. I'm like one of the only people that deliver in both sense of the word. So
Exactly.
we're gonna start getting those out, and just trying to get people to engage with us on all our different platforms. So you see like the number of views and comments and stuff going up on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube a little
Engagement's
bit.
going up.
Yeah. I mean, we could use a little bit, I think, more on YouTube. But anyway, just being out there, and then I'm going around the country. So as I go around the country, I'm talking to people, I'm taking their questions, I'm engaging with them, meeting them, getting their phone numbers. So
Exactly. Networking. Yeah.
it's been good. I mean, so you ask, are we making the marks? I think we are. We kind of set goals within the campaign of things we want to accomplish, and we're hitting them. We're hitting them pretty good at this point in the campaign. The election will be like next September. The nominations are August the 5th, 2026, and then the election committee, they'll set the time frame. So we don't know exactly the time frame, but somewhere around September of 2026. So be ready out there. It's a mail ballot election, so you got to check your mail. You got to return that ballot
No
quickly.
excuses.
Yeah, and get your coworkers to vote and participate. We had a pretty high level of participation for the tentative agreement last year or earlier this year because people were kind of it's your contract and people are upset about it, and so we had about 90,000 people to vote in that. But the last presidential election, I think, was more like 40 something thousand, like half
Yes,
of that number. And keep in mind, in a regular election, everyone votes, active carriers and retirees. And still, the number was like half of the people that voted for the tentative agreement. So I think there's a lot more engagement now. There's a lot more people paying attention. And I think that number is going to be higher in this election next year in 2026. But we can all do something about that by being engaged, checking out all the candidates. We're trying to put as much information as we can up on the website. And like I said, I'm trying to get around the country. If you want me to come out to one of your branch events or meetings or whatever, talk to the carriers, I'm doing that, I'm doing it.
Yeah, you're involved and, being personable with people. That's what we want because anything's better than what we have at this point. And if they just do their research, see what candidate aligns with their values, who's actually, carrying mail, who's actually, the man of the people, that type of stuff. What is your so you got these mic drop Mondays? Like, what is your goal with those? I see you dropping them every Monday on Caref for Prez on your YouTube page. What's the goal on releasing those videos every Monday?
Yeah, it's real simple, man. It's to give people an idea of who I am, so get to know me. You get to know me through listening. Watching is probably better. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it on Spotify. You can listen to it on any of the podcast formats. But, through the different topics, through the different guests that come on, it's really an opportunity for you guys to kind of get an idea of who I am and what it would look like if I was the president of the union. I mean, you're going to see I have a sense of humor. You're going to see that I'm not always right. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're gonna see that, you're gonna feel the passion, and you're gonna see what my campaign for president is all about. And we try to, we're trying to have fun with it. I mean, that's one thing I promise to myself and to everyone. It's not that serious. Look, it's very important who we elect as the president of the union. But at the end of the day, look, if you guys want somebody else, that's okay. I'm a mailman. Everyone out here, we're all letter carriers, and I'm not going to take it that seriously. Where it's live or die, or everything I say has to be scripted or whatever. So
Right.
you get a chance to know me a little bit through that and have a little fun along the way. And the episodes are recorded, so you know how it goes. People find out about it. They're like, Mic Drop Mondays, never heard of it. And then they go look at, I think we're on episode 20 something, whatever. But now you can go back and listen to all the other episodes as well, so that's just trying to make content and give people stuff to, like I said, give them an idea of what we're all about.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information on there too. I listened to them on the route. I listened to one just recently. You had Patrice and John on. That was a good episode. A lot of good information on there.
Yeah, I put them on the spot. I asked them when they're going to go carry their routes.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, nah. I mean, they're like, I know John is in a really tough office, so I understand why he doesn't want to go back, carrying his route. But I still respect you going your route. Like on the south side over there, I could never deliver over there. Never.
I'm closer to downtown, but it's south of whatever.
Yeah.
It's not a bad area or nothing, but
well, just the traffic alone. I mean, I was just saying,
well,
like the traffic.
I'm from Chicago. That stuff doesn't bother me.
No.
The reason I bid over there is because it's flat. I just can't do the stairs anymore where it's up and down, up and down, up and down. There's a lot of routes in Chicago that have a lot of stairs, and
Yeah.
it's too. I got a bad knee on my left side. The right one ain't great either, but anyway, that route is nice and flat, so I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't mess up your knees too much. So going into 2026, what do you think is our biggest issue as carriers? What do you think is our biggest issue going into 2026?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, we have contract negotiations, so presumably that would be our biggest issue. But I don't know, man. I think the future of the Postal Service is looming out there. We just got information that we're going to get some of that post back. I don't know if we're ever going to get the Amazon stuff back. Look, to me, the danger is that the Postal Service has always been the delivery mechanism for America, meaning that back in the Pony Express era, we were, a card, to your grandmother or whatever. People correspond, they'd write letters back and forth, and the Postal Service was the delivery mechanism. Of course, we deliver everything, but you have the kind of thing that's the central theme of that era, and it went from letters to bills to advertising to whatever was in that time frame. And now I really think small parcels, man. People order stuff that in the same way that you would get 3, 4, 5 letters a day. You see people getting more and more 3, 4, 5, little small packages. You order this, you order that, it comes delivered. That kind of thing. And are we going to be the delivery mechanism for that? Yes or no? And traditionally, the model that has worked is that the Postal Service has a universal service mandate. And the universal service mandate means we deliver everywhere, every day. And America always has expanded, meaning that the population grows, there's more housing, people spread out, and the Postal Service has more and more deliveries, right? And you have that obligation as a company to deliver to more and more places. So the cost to the Postal Service every day grows because you have more deliveries to make. But it's always been offset by the by the first class mail monopoly. I'm sorry. And the mailbox mail monopoly. Nobody has access to the mailbox but the Postal Service, and nobody can send a first class letter except for the Postal Service. You would have to pay us, the price would have to be high enough. The Postal Service at 70 cents or whatever, they have a monopoly on that. But we don't have a monopoly on small parcels. And the small parcels are not generally being delivered to mailboxes. They are by us. But private companies are delivering to porches. We don't have no monopoly on porches. They're delivering to these parcel lockers. They're delivering, different places. And so if private companies are able to do the same service that we can do, of course, they're not going to do it in the places where it's too costly. And so the Postal Service has to absorb. And you see, like, okay, it's good news. We're getting those deliveries from UPS and some of the deliveries from Amazon, back and stuff like that. Everyone's like, that's great because, we need the mail volume. Volume is work and work is money and money is jobs and, all of that. So we love it. But long term, the sustainability of the Postal Service can't work if the Postal Service only has the least profitable deliveries and the private companies are doing the more dense urban areas and the deliveries where they can make a profit. They're doing those themselves and then dumping the less profitable stuff on the Postal Service. That's not that's not a model for success. And the only way that would work is if you would go back to the taxpayer funded model. But right now, the business pays for itself and there's no money coming from tax revenues. And I don't think nobody in America wants to go back to the days when you had to pay taxes for your postal services. But I don't think nobody wants to go back to the days where you didn't have a reliable letter carrier in your community 6 days a week. That's an awesome service, and it's free to the American people because we have this model. But if we're not able to capture the new delivery, and we're not the delivery mechanism, and we don't get that revenue for all of the deliveries, then that model might be in danger, and our jobs and our future and our livelihood might be in danger, and retirees even, that are collecting pensions and whatever, all of that could be in danger. So when you ask what's the biggest hurdle on the horizon in 2026, we do need a better contract, no doubt about it. But we can't we can't lose focus on the Postal Service either. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think it is that contract. That's we can't wait another couple years for another contract. That's what I'm worried about. That was what I was going to ask you. Like, what could we do to prevent that from happening again? Because nobody wants to wait that long. If it took so long to get paid, and I saw you post the new pay chart. We got, I think my step was only 30 something cents, and we waited so long just to get that. How do we prevent? Well, obviously a better negotiator, all that stuff, but what could we do to stop it from being so delayed? Because that's what I think worries. That's what I get all the time. The comments on my YouTube, people, worried about the delay because they want their money now.
I know we have direct control over the delay at some point because at some point next year we'll be able to elect a new president. Yeah. And when you elect the president, you ask them, what is your philosophy? I can tell you what mine is. Mine is there's 90 days per the law, and those 90 days begin February 25th, and those 90 days end on May 22nd of next year. And I want to take full advantage of every single one of those days. And during that time frame, we're gonna force the Postal Service to the table, and we're gonna make them collectively bargain with us over those issues. And if they don't sufficiently, come to where we need them to be during those 90 days, then we take our case to a neutral arbitration panel, which is our right under the law, which we earned when we went out on strike in 1970. And so President Renfro will be the president over contract negotiations when it begins in February and when it ends in May, and when those decisions are going to be made. But we're going to have a convention in August, and so we can dictate some of those terms. And then we're going to have an election soon after August, like I said, around September of next year. So we will definitely have our say next year if the president does what he did last time, which is drag his feet and, it's coming soon in 2 more weeks. And, we might go to arbitration he's doing it again he's supposed to be filing a grievance regarding the backlog of grievances. The backlog in the Postal Service not activating the backups at the dispute resolution process. He's supposed to be filing a national grievance, and he's been talking about it for a while now. At the convention in 2024, we mandated that he file a grievance, and he still hasn't done it. He's been talking about it. So there is definitely a concern of what he's going to do next year with contract negotiations. But I think that's the reason why we have to take it into our own hands. And I think we're starting to plan a march on the so contract negotiations beginning February 25th. The date that we want to have our march in Washington, D.C., we want to march from NALC headquarters to USPS headquarters. Ironically, it's a 1.3-mile march.
I
You
seen
know,
that.
it's just
I
it's
seen
just
you
a
say
beautiful irony there. But look, man, both sides did, to me, I know for a fact, both sides did not engage in collective bargaining to the point where you say, how are you going to solve these problems? How are you going to solve the problem that people don't want this job? How are you going to solve the problem that you're so top heavy? You have all these supervisors. How are you going to solve the problem that the grievance process doesn't work, that the uniform process doesn't work? How are you going to solve the problem that you're paying all of this overtime and penalty overtime and extra penalty overtime,
that.
and people's wages are not comparable to the pay and benefits of those in the private sector, particularly the UPS drivers. And so you have all these problems. The non-career classification doesn't work. There's a lot of crafts in the Postal Service do not have non-career. You don't have non-career tractor trailer operators. You don't have non-career mechanics that work on the machines in the Postal Service. Why should there be non-career city letter carriers that have the dangerous job, that are out there in the community, that are the face of the organization? The whole operation revolves around having a professional city letter carrier in uniform out there in those communities. Make us all career, start us off at a rate of pay that's higher than what the clerks make, which right now was like $2.32 less than what the clerks make. So you got to solve these problems, and you got to get buy-in from the Postal Service working together during those 90 days. So the idea would be that every branch can send at least one person to Washington for that march. And the branches, hopefully like us, Chicago, all the way east, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, the DC area, New York, Boston, let's get buses, because we want to do it on the President's Day holiday. So, we can start going on that Sunday. We get there on that Monday. We turn around and we come back, and, we go back to work on Tuesday. But that's a day when we can get a lot of letter carriers, hopefully to DC, to make sure that both sides know that we expect you guys to get to work. When that bell sounds, when you shake hands across the table with your counterpart, it's time to get down to work, baby. And we want a daily update. We want to know what the hell you're talking about. What have you accomplished? What is still to be worked out, or, whatever. Or, yeah, and tell us, if the Postal Service is dragging their feet and bullshitting through those 90 days, we got all our proposals. We're ready. I mean, we're getting our proposals together now. So it's like, all right, we're ready to go. If the Postal Service is dragging their feet and they're not scheduling meetings and they're not really actively engaging with us in the collective bargaining process, then we need to shame them. And then the second aspect is we got to get the public on our side. We got to let them know that if they want to have that People's Postal Service, if they want to have that professional letter carrier in their community for free 6 days a week, then they got to get on our side, and they got to put pressure on the Postal Service, who is supposed to be the arm of the people. There's no tax money, but yet and still it's regulated and controlled by Congress, and we have every American citizen has the ability to say, hey, what I want is to keep my free post office, and I want to make sure my letter carriers are taken care of so they can keep taking care of me, so they can keep serving the public. And so get that message out there. I want to do, the contract negotiations start February 25th. And what do you think about this? I want to get every post office in America, the letter carriers, before we go into work. So like 30 minutes before our shift, hour before our shift, whatever, stand outside in front of the post office as the cars go by and the people go by, hand out flyers, put up signs, let them know, hey, the negotiations are starting. We're trying to save this Postal Service. We're trying to make this job a job with dignity, like it used to be. And, we want it to be a professional operation. We want the public to kind of help us with this and put pressure on our employer to actively engage with us in collective bargaining. So I like to see that too, get the membership involved. A lot of people were like during the Vote No campaign last year, you saw a lot of people taking pictures, getting together, we're all going to vote on this thing. You see the membership mobilized, you see them awoke, you see them. And I think that's good for us, and getting the public engaged too.
Raising awareness.
Yeah, man, everyone loves the letter carriers, everyone. And so let's make sure that everyone knows that they're on our side and that, hey, we need some help here because I mean, quite frankly, the Postal Service, man, they're lost.
Yeah,
Like they don't they don't care. Like
they
we
don't.
we we beat them up in the grievance process. We make them pay us all this money and whatever, and it's like, it's not their money. The people running the Postal Service are really not engaged in the future of the Postal Service way they should be if they're managers. So, look, we got to do something because I think that last time was a damn disaster on the contract. If
Yeah.
you look at where we started in 2023 and where we ended in 2025, not only did it take forever, but we just didn't accomplish any of our goals. The CCA job is still there. The table 2 structure is still there. The diet colas are still there. The uniform process doesn't work. The grievance process doesn't work. The job is still dangerous. All of the little work rules that like mandatory overtime, that didn't get fixed. That didn't get solved. uh,
No.
pe- People still got to conjure up a doctor's note if they want to work an 8-hour schedule. And it shouldn't be like that. You should be
Right.
able to be a full-time regular and say, oh, I just want to work my 8 hours and go home. There's not everyone
Right.
wants to make all that money like you, man.
Right. Right. Even the carrier's not on the overtime list today got mandated on Halloween. That shouldn't
and,
be
and
happening.
and it's very common. It's very common, and so it forces a person to make a decision. You know, am I gonna have a life or am I gonna stick with this job? And that's crazy. That shouldn't be the choice. You become a full time regular. You should have the option to do exactly what Article 8.1 says, which is you shall work an 8-hour day, 5 days a week. And there's going to be exceptions. Once in a while it's a heavy day after the holiday or something. But this regular mandatory overtime, that's not reasonable. And that needs to be, that's just an example. That needs to be
Yeah.
resolved. That needs to get resolved in the new contract. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's the plan. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I know you could get it done for sure. And I might go to DC with you in February and do that walk. You said in February?
Yeah, we're looking at President's Day, which is I think February 16th. What's that Monday? Yeah, I should probably look it up while we're sitting here talking. It is February 16th. That's the
Have to
date they
make it
want to do
down
it.
there.
So, yeah, hopefully we'll have the information out sometime very soon, so everyone can start making plans. Get all the branches to endorse it. Start looking at funding. Start looking at buses. Start looking at making up your signs. What are the issues? If you go to Washington, what issue do you want to bring forth? For some people it may be the mandatory overtime. For other people, it's going to be certain pay issues, the whole CCA thing, or whatever it is. There's like, there's a
A
good
lot of
50,
issues.
yeah, there's about 15, 20 of them I was going to say. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. And it'll be fun, man,
Yeah.
It'll be it'll be a
Fighting for the
good
little
time.
guy,
So
right?
yeah, exactly.
So I seen you post about UPS having job cuts. Do you think that'll affect the post office at all? Like, do you think we're going to get more volume now as far as packages, or do you think it won't affect us at all?
Um, I don't think it will affect us directly, but like I said, there's that long-term thing. I don't think that the current postal service model is sustainable, but it can, like to the point we've never had layoffs in the history of the postal service. I mean,
Right.
we have
There's always work. Always work.
yeah. What's the old saying? There's always work at the post office. I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's always been true, but um, the mail volumes are lower than they've been in the past. Parcel volumes kind of, I wouldn't say they're lower, but they leveled off. But now I guess we're going to be getting more post in. So when you get more post, it balances out with a lower volume of letters and flats. But we'll see. There's a big auxiliary workforce in the postal service, and so right now we're working a ton of hours, and the first thing that would happen would be that everyone would start working 8 hours, and then the second thing that would happen is the auxiliary workforce would get less than 8 hours, and then you would go to a scenario where you would possibly have layoffs. So to me, that's not on the horizon. You know what I mean? That's something that would be far far off into the future.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, last thing I wanted to ask you, can you explain that TikTok video of you dancing with Patrice and all them, like you were dancing
I
to
mean, I
music?
could redo it, you know, if you
I saw that. I'm like, Mike is lit. Mike is lit.
they made me do it. You know, they said this is a thing out here, and I said, well, if I do it, I want everyone else to do it as well. So,
Right,
Nick, when you go to work tomorrow, just gather the people up over there in Tinley and just tell them, hey, we gotta do a little TikTok here.
right. I think I have a few people who will participate in that.
Oh yeah, every post office has someone who, you know, some of them do it anyway. Little morning
Right,
dance to get the juices flowing. You know, why not?
right. Listen
Yeah,
to
we
some
had
music.
a little fun with that, and like I said, we're trying to have a bigger presence. You're seeing a lot of the they'll break down the clips from like some of the speeches and stuff, and then you see like the little whatever the dancers do. It's just different stuff. Just like on the Facebook page, you know, we'll put things up that are of interest to people, and you know, it's all about keeping everyone engaged and participating with their union, and that's the type of union we want. We want a union where everyone feels a part of it, and you know, it's not
Yeah,
all. It doesn't all have to be contract all the time. You know what I mean? We're a
it could be
fraternal
fun.
organization. Yeah, it could be fun and different things that are of interest to people and different topics that people want to talk about or things that they're looking at or you know that kind of thing too. So
Yeah, I think that's how Chicago is, and just like my branch is like that. So I wish every branch was like that. Not everybody has that same. Oh, you have a union event, or you're going to the Bears game or Union White Sox game. Not every branch has that, and I wish we're just lucky out here in Chicago. That's how we get down. But
yeah,
now we got to spread the love nationwide, and get people actually excited to be a part of stuff.
they do, man, because you know we say we're family, so let's act like it. You know, I mean that's
Exactly.
the way I feel about it.
So anything
Yes,
else
sir.
you want to add, Mike? Anything you want to plug? Any important dates coming up?
Well, I mean, you brought up the show, so you know, Mic Drop Monday. Like I said, it's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The website is Caref for Prez, CAREF for the number four, and then PREZ.org. Everything is Caref for Prez on TikTok, Caref for Prez on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. So check us out and give us feedback. You know.
Yeah,
You may see, you know, the platform is lengthy. I'm working on revising it right now. I'm going to keep trying to update it. But you see different things you might agree with, disagree, have comments on, you know, by all means, we'd love to hear from every member of the union. This ain't no perfect science. So if there's something that could be improved upon, you know, let us know. And like I say, if you want to help out the campaign, just a simple thing like getting those case magnets to the people that you work with. We got pins, we got all type of gear or whatever. Or if you can post the platform up on the union bulletin board, you know what I mean? Just help out with the engagement for the campaign. That'd be great. They got a section on the website. You can go in there and volunteer and say, hey, I want to help out. Here's my name. Here's my email address, phone number, whatever. So
exactly. I'll definitely be helping you out as well. And you're more than welcome to come on anytime, Mike. Halloween, we're still putting in work, doing a podcast. So I
that's right.
appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming on. Anybody who's watching, give a thumbs up. Check out Caref for Prez. That's Caref for the number Prez. Check it out, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks again, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Appreciate you, brother.